Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Maseches CHAGGIGA Daf Yud Aleph. We are holding at the two dots, which are 12 lines from the top of the Amud. Mikra muat v'alochos merubos. In the Mishnah we learned that there are some topics in Torah which are barely discussed in Torah Shebechsav, based on very few psukim. Rather, they are expounded upon and explained in great detail in the Torah Sheba'al Peh. Mikra muat v'alochos merubos. We have a brisa, Tana, that added another couple of topics to the list. Negoim v'halos. The various halachos of nega, of tumah, regarding them, ayholim of tumah, being under the same roof with something which is tamei. All those details, all those halachos, are also based on very few psukim. They are barely sourced in the Torah itself. Mikra muat v'halachos merubos. Asks the Gemara, what do you mean negoim? Negoim, we have two full parshas speaking about negoim. Tazriya Mitzera, Mikra muat. What do you mean? Barely mentioned in the psukim. Negoim and Mikra merubahu. We have lots of psukim discussing all the various details and halachos of negoim. What do you mean it's Mikra muat? Amar Papa Hachika Amar, the brisa meant as follows. When it comes to negoim, the brisa made a contrast, a comparison. On the one hand, we have negoim, which is certainly based extensively on the Torah Shebechsav, Mikra meruba, lots of psukim discussing that topic. V'halachos mu'atos. Relative to the amount of psukim, there are only very few halachos that are handed down outside the psukim, in addition to the psukim, through Torah Sheba'al Peh. As opposed to a halos, when it comes to halachos of tumah v'tahara, there is the other way around. Barely mentioned in the psukim, barely sourced in the Torah Shebechsav, Mikra mu'at, v'halachos, but those details, all those various halachos of tumah, are halachos merubos. Now, what's the point of discussing this? Manaf Kemina. Why present this riddle? This is a little halacha and a lot of psukim. What's the point of knowing this? There is a point. Suppose you have a suffix when it comes to a halacha pertaining to a nega. You're not sure what to do. Where do you go looking? Go to the psukim. You'll surely find the answer there. Ayin bikroi. Analyze the psukim. Because negoim are extensively sourced in Torah Shebechsav, as opposed to halachos of tumah. If you have any uncertainty when it comes to a halos, where do you look? Go to the Mishnayos, Ayin b'masnisin, where you'll surely find the answer to your question. So it's a question of where to send you when you have a suffix. By negoim, open a chumash, you'll find the answer. By halachos tumah v'tahara, go to Mishnayos, where most of the halachos are detailed. And the Mishnah ended with a final list of 5 items. Dinin, concerning monetary matters. Ha'avodes, concerning karbonis matters. Ha'taharos, va'atumois, va'arayos. All these things are mentioned pretty extensively in the Chumashim. Yesh lehen amashi yismeichu. They have what to lean on. They're extensively sourced in the psukim. Veheinin gufei Torah. Now, when you say that these things have what to rely on, you're basically indicating, sure, there are a lot of psukim discussing them, but the psukim don't take you to the finish line. There are some things which are not clear in the psukim. You're relying on the psukim, you're basing it on the psukim, but you need that further elaboration of Torah Sheba'al Peh. Now, what's unclear about these halachas? Asks the Gemara, Dinin, Michtav Ksivan. Take a look at Parshas Mishpatim. Everything is there. The Ganav and the Gazan, all the various financial commitments and obligations are all listed in the Torah. What's missing? Why do you say it has what to lean on? Yesh lana amashi yismeichu, indicating that it's not all clear from the psukim. Like Nitzrucha, apparently the Mishnah is only speaking about certain things that are not clear in the psukim. Look at the Rebbe, for instance, the halacha presented by Rebbe, the Sanya, Rabbi Yehuda. Nefesh tachas nefesh. The pasuk speaks about a person striking a woman and bringing about her death, and it was inadvertent, it was b'shogeg. We take his life in exchange for the life that was lost. Nefesh tachas nefesh. But we learn through Torah Sheba'al Peh. It doesn't mean literally take a life for a life. Mamon. He has to pay the value of the nefesh that he killed. Market value, as though the nefesh would have been sold as a slave. That's how we determine value in the Torah. That's what he's chayv to pay. You maintain it's just money, or perhaps it means literally take his life in exchange for the other life. We have Gzera Shava to dispel that notion. We have the Lashon Nesina down here at the end of the parsha. And we have upstairs at the beginning of the parsha, the case where he brought about a premature birth, a miscarriage, and the pasuk says, "V'nosam beflidim," he hands over payment. So we see Nesina associated with monetary payment. We make that connection down here as well. Malahal and Mammon, just as over there, Nesina pertains to handing over money. Avkan Mammon, likewise over here, V'nosata Nevesh Tachas Nevesh, means he gives it over. He doesn't give over his life, he gives over money as payment for the lost Nefesh. Here's an example of a halacha that's not clear from the pasuk itself. It's based on Gzera Shava, Torah Sheba'al Peh, but it has what to rely on. It's based on the psukim. Avodas, the various halachas pertaining to korbanos. There's lots of sourcing for that, lots of psukim, which form the basis and support for those halachas. Once again, the same kasha. You're relying on the psukim, it's all in the psukim, it's all clearly detailed. Michtav ksivan. Apparently this concept is only pertaining to some halachas which should not. You would not see from the psukim directly. For instance, how do we know there's an avodah called halacha? We know about shchita, we know about kabbalah sadam by karbonis, we know about zrika on the mizbech. What about the concept of halacha? That transporting the dam to the mizbech is one of those elements of carbon, is an aspect of avodah. And a kohen is needed, bigdei kehuna are needed, klei sharis, etc. Perhaps you can think that halacha is not necessarily necessary. You can do the shchita right next to the mizbeach and avoid transporting the dam to the mizbeach. So where do we find that halacha indeed is considered a proper avodah? The Sanya, as we learned in the price, through a drasha. Pasuk says that the kohen or the Yisrael does the shchita on the carbon, and then it says v'ikrivu b'nei aroin hakayhana mesadam v'zarku sadam ala mizbeach saviv. Right. So what does v'ikrivu mean? First shchita, then v'ikrivu. Evidently, it's receiving the dam, which is the ma'aseh you do right after shchita. V'ikrivu, although v'ikrivu literally means they brought close, they transported, they brought near the mizbeach. But apparently it's not speaking about that, because after shchita you can't just take the dam to the mizbeach without first receiving it in a kli sharis. V'ikrivu is a kabbalah sadam. It's speaking about being makabel adam. So why then did the pasuk choose to describe kabbalah using a term of v'ikrivu, which sounds like you're transporting, bringing closer to the mizbeach? V'afka rachmana b'lashon halacha, Torah expressed kabbalah using language of halacha instead of just saying v'yikablu. It says v'yikrivu, which is a lashon of bringing over, transporting. What do we find? V'yikrivu is referring to halacha. V'yikriv hakohen es hakoil v'yikdam mizbeach v'amar. We learned. What does v'yikriv hakohen mean? Zu halacha zevarim l'kevish, when the kohen transports the parts of the carbon to the ramp of the mizbeach. So by choosing to use this term v'yikrivu to describe kabbalah, Torah in effect is telling us there's something more than just receiving the dam. L'meimer the halacha, to inform you that transporting halacha of dam to the mizbeach is something of importance. Lo tafka miklal kabbalah, don't extract it, don't separate it, don't play it down. Don't take it away from the kabbalah. Meaning, just like kabbalah is an avodah, likewise halacha is also considered avodah. It's considered on the same level as kabbalah, and therefore it needs all the halachas of hakrava. You need a kohen, bigdei kehuna, etc. So here's another example of something which is known to all. Today it is because of Torah Sheba'al Peh, but it's not clearly expressed in the psukim. taharis. All the halachas of tahara had to become tar. There again, michtav ksivan. It's all in the psukim. Why do we say yeshlen al mashi yismeicha? We can lean. We can support ourselves through psukim. It's in the psukim. It's clearly detailed. Apparently, we're speaking about certain specific details. For instance, ela l'shir mikvah. How large is a mikvah? There's no pasuk about it. We know it through Torah Shebal Peh, which is based on a pasuk. Ela l'shir mikvah d'leiksiva. It's not clearly written in Torah, the Sanya. V'rochat b'mayim. He's meant to rinse himself in water. He's meant to be toivel in water. B'mayim, very specific type of water, a natural gathering of water, as opposed to water which was hand drawn and brought over here. B'mei mikvah, a natural gathering of water. The pasuk continues, "Let's call b'sari." He needs to affect its entire flesh. We learn from here that the mikvah needs to be large enough to accommodate the entire person. Mayim shekol gufa eilaben. V'kamahin. How large a space is that? Amma al amma and amma by an amma. Berum shalish amos, 3 amos high. That's the dimensions of a person. Taisa says that really a person is 4 amos high, including his head. So when he goes into this mikvah, that's really 3 amos high. He forces up the water, which covers up his head as well. Okay, so we know the area has to encompass 1 by 1, 3 high. How much water? Chacham estimated the volume of water needed to fill up this hole. May mikvah is abarim sa, and that's how we do today. 40 sa is considered a mikvah. Tumais, all the halachas of tumais, michtav ksivan. Here as well, it's clearly detailed. Look at all the psukim that discuss tumah v'tahar. Apparently, we're speaking about a very specific halacha which was presented by Torah Shebal Peh. Ela l'ka'adosha min hasheretz. The fact that the minimum requirement, the minimum amount of sheretz that you need to touch to become tamei is ka'adosha, a lentil-sized portion of a creature that is metamei person. That is Torah Shebal Peh, and not clearly detailed in Torah Shebeksav, the Sanya. Bohem, when one comes into contact with a lizard or a turtle, all these creatures, he becomes tamei. Bohem, yochel bekulim. Perhaps you have to touch the entire creature. Mayhem, even a small portion of it, even if you don't have a big shear, it is metame. Yochel b'miktsas, perhaps even a small measure is enough, a small minute amount. No, the entire thing. So which way is it? Much or little? Okay, let's strike a compromise. It needs to be a little bit, which is reminiscent of the entire thing, which has substance, which is substantial, as chashivas, as though it's the entire thing. What is that? Shir Chacham estimated and concluded the shir is b'kadasha, a lentil-sized portion of a sheretz is metame. Why adasha? What's the significance of adasha? Shekain chomet. Because if you take a look at this chomet creature, some say it's like a snail, tchilasa b'kadasha, it starts off, when it's first formed, it's barely the size of an adasha of a lentil. So it has substance, it has chashivas. This small, minute-sized chaymet, adasha size, has life to it, and therefore that shear now carries chashivas. It's considered prominent enough that if one was to touch a small shear kadash of any sheretz, he gets tamei. Rabbi Yehuda no, because the nav halatah, it needs to be the size of a lizard's tail. Rashi says, I'll take a look at Rashi, 3 lines from the bottom. Because the nav halatah, the tail of a lizard. What's so special about this tail? Because after it's severed from the lizard, it still contains some life. It jumps around. So you have a small portion of the lizard which sort of has the life, contains in it a micro of the life of the lizard itself, and it has chashivas like the lizard itself. So that shear is sufficient to transport tumah to the one who comes into contact with that. So that becomes a shear tumah by a sheretz. So it's either kadasha like the Tanakamo, or Rabbi Yehuda's shita kizanav halatah. What about arayis? Aren't they all expressed in the psukim? What's left out? Michtav ksivan. Apparently we're speaking about one specific thing. Lebita manu sased leiksiva. the daughter of a anusa, a woman who was involved in an enforced relationship, that daughter of that woman is an erva. But it's not clearly mentioned in Torah. Torah speaks about ervas isha obita, daughter of your wife. An isha is a properly married wife. But an isha who's an anusa, what about her daughter? It's not clear in the pasuk. Rather, it was handed down through Torah Shabbat Peh. The Amar Rav. Amar li Rabbi Yitzchak bar Abdimi. How do we know that Bitoy Manusasai is an erva? Through Gzera Shabbat. Asya Heina Heina, Asya Zima Zima. So Heina Heina is as follows. Rashi explains that in the pasuk of Ervas Isha Obita, which discusses the daughter of his married and his wife with whom he's married, we have Loshen Heina. So we know that the daughter is an erva. When it comes to the anusa, we don't find daughter. We find granddaughter. We don't find daughter. But since in that pasuk, by the anusa, we have Loshen Heina, we connect it to the pasuk of Ervas Isha Obita, which has Heina. We say, look, just like by Isha, it's Isha Obita, daughter of one's wife is an erva. Likewise, by the anusa as well, the daughter of the anusa is considered an erva to this man. So that's Heina Heina. Now, what penalty is applied in this case? What einish? Sreifa. Why? Because we find elsewhere by other erva the Loshen Zima. We find in this case as well Zima. We connect the two things. We apply Sreifa, the einish of burning, to this case as well. So here we go. We have an example of an erva which is not clear in the pasuk, rather brought through Torah Shabbat Peh. That's what the Mishnah meant. Now the Mishnah ends with the following phrase: Hein hein gufei Torah. These previously mentioned topics are considered the primary topics of Torah. Hani'in, only these, dinin and tumois and tarois and avoidois and arayt, which are detailed extensively in Torah. Only these are considered an important portion of Torah, but not the other ones, hanachloi, the previous ones, which are barely mentioned in the Torah, which are primarily Torah Shabbat Peh. They're not considered primary topics of Torah. How can that be? No, Elohim would rather say like this. The Mishnah is trying to tell us just the opposite. Send a message of support to all the topics, the ones that are detailed in the Torah Shabbat, and even those that are not too clear in the Torah, rather they're based primarily on Torah Shabbat Peh. Hein v'hein. Not only are these Gufei Torah, the ones that are mentioned extensively and elaborated upon in Torah Shabbat, not only are these Gufei Torah, but even those as well, v'hein, the previous ones which are basically Torah Shabbat Peh, they are also Gufei Torah, a very important portion of Torah. As the Rishonim say, everything was given by Moshe Sinai, everything is the word of Hashem, and have no less value than the ones that are detailed in the Torah. Hadran Allah HaKol Chayavin. Says the Mishnah, Ein Derishin Ba'royis B'shleish. According to the Havamin and the Gemara, that's what Rashi learns in the Mishnah, we're not meant to expound upon and explain and delve into the concept of arayos b'shloisha when it's just a total of 3 people sitting around the table, the speaker 1 and 2 listeners. That's too much for such a discussion. The Gemara will explain the reason for this. So when it comes to arayos, 3 people, inappropriate. V'loi b'masa b'reishis b'shnai. Masa b'reishis refers to the description of events that took place during the Brias Olam, during the Sheshis Yimei HaMasa. So getting into that discussion is risky and must be kept discreet. It's not meant to be discussed amongst 2 people, 1 speaker and 1 listener. When it comes to Merkava, that's more lofty. That's describing the heavenly realms of the Malachim, etc. Even a single person, even 1 person, individual, should not be learning these things. Unless he really was deep and could relate to these things on his own without outside help. If a person analyzes the following 4 things, these things are meant to be off limit, are beyond our comprehension. Rossi says, Rossi means Lashon of Rachmanis. We have compassion on him, meaning it's to his benefit. It would have been better for him had he not have been born. Rossi loy ki'ilu loy bala olam. Rather than come here and delve into these inappropriate topics. What are these things? Mala mala, what's going on above the world? Mala mata, what's below? Mala fanim, what happened before we were created? Mala achar, what's going to happen after the world is removed? These things are beyond our means of understanding. We're not meant to delve into these things. And one who's not careful, he's not respectful. He's not concerned about Hashem's kavod. He's using his seichel, which is an expression of Hashem's life, Hashem's chachma. He's misdirecting and applying it to these topics. It would have been better if he would have been unborn. Now we have a steer in the Mishnah. Mishnah begins, don't discuss arayos amongst 3 people. A total of 3 people discussion, no good. Maser Bereshis, don't even have 2 people talk about it. Merkava, even 1 person shouldn't be discussing it, even though he doesn't need outside help. He has the proper depth and comprehension. He can just relate to these things on his own. He shouldn't be doing it. But then Mishnah continues. Mishnah says, Elim kein hayachacham, or maybe midait, unless he can just figure it out on his own. Well, that's the fellow we're speaking about. 1 person on his own should not be doing it. Apparently, he doesn't need outside help. He's fully capable on his own. He shouldn't be doing it unless he can do it on his own. Aren't you contradicting yourself? First you say, an individual on his own shouldn't be learning Merkava. And then you say, unless he can figure it out on his own. That's a contradiction. Answers the Gemara. The Mishnah means like this. Ein darshan ba'arayis. You're not meant to discuss the sugya of arayis. Lish laisha, 2-3 talmidim. So you have 3 talmidim in the classroom. Don't discuss arayis with them. The reason we'll see further. But when we speak about numbers 3, 2, 1, aside from the teacher, aside from the Rebbe, don't hand over this information to 3 students, to 3 listeners. When it comes to Maser Bereshis, lish 9, don't hand it over to 2 people. That's too public. It has to stay discreet. These things are lofty things. When it comes to even more esoteric topics, Merkava, heavenly chariot, and Malachim, all that, don't even give it over to a Yachid. You're not meant to discuss it publicly. You're not meant to discuss it out and express it, even from one person to the other. Unless this Talmud of yours is fully capable to really figure things out on his own. A slight hint, a subtle comment, he'll get it. That's the way you give over this information, without elaboration, without expounding. That's the way you treat these lofty things. So bottom line is, we will run off. When the Mishnah gave us the numbers, 3, 2, 1, we thought it meant a total number. 3 people being involved, 2 people being involved, 1 person being involved. No. We're not speaking about the total number of people involved, rather the listeners. The Rebbe should not be giving over this information to 3 people, to 2 people, to 1 person. When it comes to Merkava, the only way you give it over to 1 person is if he's capable. If a subtle message, a subtle hint will do the job, but otherwise, if it requires elaboration, find another Talmud. So why these numbers? Ein darshan b'arayis b'shloisha. You should not be teaching the halachas of arayis to 3 people. That's too much. 1 person, 2 person, but not 3. My time of why? First, the Gemara figures, perhaps we have a pasuk, a raya to this. Ilem of shum dechsiv, ish ish, al kol sher b'sarai. And we darshan like this. The pasuk that speaks about arayis mentions ish ish, which is 2 people. Sher b'sarai, it's another person, chat. So you have 3 people total listening to you. The Torah says, don't get involved in discussion of arayis when you're speaking to 3 people. So it's a drasha, we don't quite understand the reason, but perhaps that's the source for this concept. Really? Alimiata, if that's the case, what about the next pasuk? We have a pasuk which says, Ish ish kil kalilekav. Ish ish, who will apply a kol chasasham to Hashem. Or we have another pasuk which says, Ish ish, man, asher yitim mizar l'melech, who engages in this type of by the Zara type of thing. Hachinami. Are you going to say, well, Ish is 1, Ish is another person, and the only way they're guilty of Kiblas Alakim or Amalek is if it's done by 2 people together. Really? That's what it means? So you're going to darshan Ish, a person, another person involved together? Just like you said over here by the pasuk of Arayas. It means it's referring to the amount of people involved. Ella says the Gemara, it can't be. We never heard that Yikal Kav is only if it involves two people, etc. That's not going to work. Ella, rather, Hanu Iboili. The term ish mentioned in these psukim is coming to teach you as follows: to include the goy, l'rabbi says hanochram, shemusharun abrichas Hashem, to tell us that even a non-Jew is warned, is instructed against applying a bracha to Hashem. This is a euphemism to apply a curse to Hashem. He's not allowed to do that. Same thing when it comes to Avodah Zarah. Ki Yisrael, he's warned, just like Yisrael is warned. Ish. Not only a Yid, even a Goy. If that's the case. When it comes to the Pasuk of Arayis as well. It's not coming to tell you how many people should be in the classroom. Rather, Hai Nami Ubayl, that Pasuk is needed, L'Rabbis is Anochem, to inform us that a Goy is also obligated. He's Shemus Harn al Arayis Ki Yisrael. They're warned against engaging in Arayis, just like we are. So it has nothing to do with how many people are listening. It's coming to tell you something else entirely different. Ella, rather, it's coming from the following pasuk. Where the pasuk says, "Ushmartem es mishmarti." Again, we're speaking about arayis. Ushmartem is a plural, a double lashon, referring to two people, two students in the classroom. Mishmarti is the third student. Chad. V'amar Achman, the pasuk says, "Keep away. Don't teach them halachas in this setting." Levilti asois mechukas at the evois. Don't tell them about the Avodah Zarah, about the Gilei Arayis, all these inappropriate things, if there are only 3 students in the classroom. So perhaps this is the makom. If that's the case, what about the pasuk d'chsib ushmartem es haShabbos, ushmartem es ha'matzos, ushmartem es mishmeres hakodesh? Hachanami. They was really going to say, well, only 2 people together have to keep Shabbos. Only 2 people together have to process the matzos, etc. So apparently we can't dash and psukim like this. So what then is the reason for the halacha of ein darshan barayas b'shloish? Elam Rav Ashi, I'll tell you the pshat. I'll tell you why. My ein darshan barayas b'shloish. What does the Mishnah mean? We don't discuss arayas. We don't give that over to 3 students. Ein darshan b'sisrei arayas l'shloish. We don't hand over the obscure halachas of arayas to 3 people, to 3 students. Meaning the halachas that we learn from Torah Sheba'al Peh. For instance, the example we had before, Bita Manusase. We don't teach these things to 3 students at once. Why? It can lead to confusion. My time. Svaro. It's plain logic. Listen to this. Beitre. When you have 2 students, Kiyasvi Kami Rabbi, 2 Talmidim sitting in front of their Rebbe. That poses no danger. Why? Echad shakal v'tari. Badi Rabbi. Even when one is engaged in discussion with the Rebbe, what's the other fellow doing? He's listening in. He has nobody else to distract him. V'idach, the other fellow, matzli udne. He's leaning over his ear, l'gemara, and listening into the conversation to learn. He's not missing any facts. So over there's no danger of diversion, of confusion, of omission. But when it comes to tlasa, when you're teaching to 3 listeners, here we have a concern. Why? Chad shakal v'tari badi Rabbi. Let's say one fellow raises his hand, starts asking a question, gets into discussion with the Rebbe. What are the other 2 fellows doing at the same time? They're engaging in discussion, not necessarily paying attention to the conversation going on between the Rebbe and the Talmud. They might miss some important, vital facts. V'hanach the other fellows, shakal v'tari badi Adali. They're having their own personal discussion. Not necessarily are they going to pay attention to what the Rebbe is saying, and perhaps they'll miss an important halach. And they might come to be matter, to be lenient when it comes to certain isurim by arayis. They'll say, look, our Rebbe told us all the halachas, didn't teach us this, because they weren't paying attention at that time. So if it's just 1 Talmud, fine. 2, no concern. But 3, there's a concern about the other Talmidim engaging in their own discussion while the Rebbe is teaching important facts to that single Talmud. If that's the case, why is this exclusive to arayis? Any halacha has the same concern. They might miss important facts. Hilchas Shabbos, Hilchas Yom. Big difference. Arayis is shani. It's very different. Here there's a special Yetzirah. The Amar, as we learned, Gezel v'arayis, when it comes to Gezel and arayis, nafsh shel adam mechamdos u'misavalam. A person has a tremendous desire and a drive for these things. And it appears to him that it's mutter he might be moderate. He's more inclined to be lenient when it comes to these things, and the Talmud might come to be matter, things that he shouldn't be matter. That's why it's only concerned by arayis. But what do you mean? Just said gezel and arayis go together. Yachi gezel nami. When it comes to halachas of gzela, we should have the same concern, and we only find by arayis. Arayis is worse. Arayis poses a greater concern. Arayis, bein befanav, whether he's faced with the erva in his presence, bein shloi befanav, whether it's out of sight. It's just a theoretical, academic. Nafesh yitzrei. His yetzer is pretty strong, even at that point. Even while he's discussing and learning, he might be inclined to take the lenient path, to be matter, a certain erva, a certain aspect of arayis, because he wasn't properly educated by the Rebbe, because he wasn't paying attention. As opposed to gezel, although there's a tremendous yetzer hara when it comes to robbing and stealing and taking money that's dishonest money, but that's only befanav. When he's faced with it, when he's in its presence, nafesh yitzra, yetzer hara is strong. But shaloi befanav, but if it's out of sight, when he's in the Beis Medrash, not faced with it in a sign head on, loy nafesh yitzra, yetzer hara is not as great, not as strong. In which case, he's not inclined to be mater halachas while he's sitting and learning halachas that pertain to gezel. But arayis, yes, and therefore when it comes to arayis, you have to be careful to keep things clear and conveyed in a non-confusing manner. The Mishnah continued, when it comes to discussion of what happened, what transpired during Brias Olam, discuss it with one Talmud, not two at a time. Keep it discreet, keep it honorable and respectful. Manan Amili, how do we know this? The Tanur Rabbanim, Kish Alno Liyamim Harishonim. You may ask, you may inquire as to what occurred during those earlier days. Yachid Shoyl, one student, an individual may ask. Ve'ein Shnaim Shoylim, but not two together. It makes it too much of a scene and casts a disrespectful halo on the topic. Perhaps a person could inquire as to what happened before the world was created as well. No, stop right there. You can start from the day Hashem created the world. That's it. Not past that. Well, when did Hashem create Adam? On day 6. Perhaps he can't go back beyond day 6. Day 1 till day 6 is off limits for us. No, that's okay. You can inquire as to what occurred before Brias Adam. But that's it. Not past Brias Olam. Yachal, perhaps I would think of so. Yishalom, a person can inquire as to what happened in Malamala, what's going on upstairs, beyond the world, Malamata, beneath the earth, Malafana, Malach, what happened before, what happened later, what happened before Brias Olam, what's going to happen after the world is taken away. That's off limits. We learn from here, you could inquire as to what's going on from one side of the sky to the other, within the confines of this universe. Rather than asking about what's going on upstairs, downstairs, in front and behind, Supshatim Rashi, whether it means as far as the makom, the space, in front and beyond the world, or as far as time, before and after the world. Asks the Gemara. Now, once we have this pasuk, which includes everything, you want to stay within your confines, within your limitations, whether it's space related or time related. That's it. Why do we need that first pasuk? That pretty much told us the same thing. The pasuk which said, don't ask beyond the world. Once we have that to tell you, keep within your limits. So that other pasuk, why is that needed? The pasuk is pretty much telling us the same thing. As is the Gemara, it's coming to tell you something else. To Rabbi Lezer, it's coming to tell you what Rabbi Lezer tells us. Don't Rabbi Lezer. Adam Rishon min haaretz al rakia. Initially, Adam Rishon was a tall creation. He extended from the haaretz all the way to the rakia, all the way to the shemayim. Shenamar lemen hayom hashabar lekim Adam al haaretz. So the pasuk is referring to when Hashem created Adam, feet on the ground, and extended all the way to the Shemayim, as the pasuk says. Asher b'Elokim Adam al haaretz u'lemiktzei Shemayim. So he went all the way from the earth to the Shemayim. That was initially. Became a Shatzorach. Once he strayed and he partook in the Eitz Hadas. Hineach HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yadav Olav, Hashem placed His hand on him. U'miyatoi, and as a result of Hashem placing His hands on him, he was reduced and came back down to normal size. Shenemar Ochar v'kedem tzartoni v'atoshes like apecha. Rashi learns that Ochar v'kedem tzartoni indicates that there were two brios, two yetziras. Hashem formed them twice. Initially, Tchila was gavaya, very tall. L'basayv shafel. Ultimately, he shortened him. Okay, let's do a quick chazar of today's daf. We had a list of topics which are based extensively on psukim, but not completely. When it comes to dinin, we have a halacha that's not clear in the pasuk. Nefesh tachas nefesh means mammon. When it comes to avodas, we learned that there's something called halachas hadam, which is part of the avodah. That's Torah Sheba'al Peh. We learned to shir a mikvah. Torah Sheba'al Peh, the shir adosha kesheretz, and bitem and asase ba'arayos. But of course, as the Gemara concludes, hein vehin gufei Torah, whether it's something detailed extensively in Torah Sheba'al or primarily expounded upon Torah Sheba'al Peh, it's all the same Torah from Hashem Yisparach. What about discussing sensitive topics? Well, it depends what it is. If it's arayos, keep the crowd small, keep it clear and concise to avoid confusion. When it comes to Maaseh Bereishis, you speak to a yachid, but not to more than a yachid. Keep it respectful and honorable. When it comes to Maaseh Merkava, those esoteric topics, you don't even really teach it to a yachid unless this fellow is of high stature, he's a chacham, or maybe midaitoi, in which case he'll absorb the topics and concepts just by way of a subtle hint, derech remez, which accords honor and a special kavod to this heavenly topic. All the best to you, and much hatzlacha.